ดีค่ะ Good morning, our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kanat Vathana Suthiwong, and it is my honor to be your host for today's conference. And on behalf of Center for ASEAN Studies, Thammasat University, I would like to extend a very, very warm welcome to all of you to TU-ASEAN International Conference 2017 under the topic of ASEAN at 50, looking back, moving forward. TU-ASEAN International Conference 2017 is a knowledge-sharing platform for development and research of the ASEAN community in terms of theory and practices. Center for ASEAN Studies, Thammasat University, as a host for today's conference, we really appreciate you taking your time off your busy schedules to join us today. Before we start, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask for your kind cooperation in completing this conference. Kindly switch off your mobile devices or turning them to silence mode to avoid the interruption. And thank you very much for your cooperation and attention. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to begin the proceedings of the conference. May I please invite Associate Professor Dr. Prapat Thepchatri, Director, Center for ASEAN Studies, Thammasat University, on stage to deliver his welcome remarks. A big round of applause to Associate Professor Dr. Prapat Thepchatri, please.
Dr. Surin Pisuwan, former ASEAN Secretary General, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Center for ASEAN Studies, Thammasat University, I would like to express our warm welcome to all participants to the TU-ASEAN International Conference 2017. I would like to express our deep appreciation and great honor for hosting this event. As we are all aware, this year ASEAN will be 50 years old. Thailand is one of the founding members of ASEAN and has played an integral role in the grouping over the past 50 years. ASEAN has come a long way. I did not expect to see ASEAN to develop into an integrated community, but ASEAN is moving and succeed in forming a community. During the past 50 years, ASEAN has passed through difficult periods, particularly during the Cold War and also during the worst financial crisis in the 1990s. But as we look back, we can see a lot of ASEAN's big achievements. But we also, if we look forward, we can also see a lot of opportunities and a lot of challenges as well. Because of this context, the Center for ASEAN Studies at Thammasat University is organizing the TU-ASEAN International Conference 2017 with the theme of ASEAN at 50, looking back, moving forward. The conference will provide great opportunity to discuss, evaluate ASEAN during the past 50 years and recommend what ASEAN should do or should be in the next years to come. For the morning session, the theme of the session will be ASEAN at 50, looking back. And we have very interesting panelists for this morning session. As for the afternoon session, the focus will be, and the theme also will be ASEAN at 50, moving forward. And we also have several and very interesting and important panelists for the afternoon session as well. In short, once again, I would like to thank all of you here for your participation and your contribution for the conference. On behalf of the Center for ASEAN Studies, Thammasat University, I would like to invite all of us here to commemorate the 50th anniversary of ASEAN and wish for all the best for the next 50 years of ASEAN to achieving its vision of being one community, one vision, and one identity. And for ASEAN to rise up to be a strong community and a regional and global player in the years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Prapat Tepchatri, Director, Center for ASEAN Studies, Thammasat University. Ladies and gentlemen, we have privilege to have Dr. Surin Pitsuwan, former Secretary General of ASEAN, here with us today. May I please invite him on stage to deliver special remarks on the topic of ASEAN at 50, looking back, moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Surin Pitsuwan, former Secretary General of ASEAN.
Good morning. It is certainly a privilege to be considered a person of the past to talk about the past of ASEAN this morning. And I have seen my colleagues, or my past colleagues, or my old colleagues, before coming into this room. And I think we represent the generation that has been inspired by the vision and the idea and the dream of ASEAN. And we have made no reservation in our efforts in trying to bring together this structure for Southeast Asia, which is known as ASEAN 50 years ago. It was a lofty dream. It was a very, very inspirational undertaking by 5 men who believe that this region deserved its own platform to deliberate on its own affairs and to be able to maintain our separate identities, to be able to work together and, in their words, bind themselves together in friendship and cooperation and through efforts, joint efforts and sacrifices, secure for their peoples and for posterity the blessings of peace, freedom, and prosperity. 8th August 1967, here at Saranrom Palace, next to the Grand Palace. Signed Adam Malik, Tun Razak, Narciso Ramos, Rajaratnam, and Tanat Khoman. That is called the ASEAN Declaration. Or we can call it the ASEAN Vision or the ASEAN Dream. That from the very beginning, it's for the region, Southeast Asia. That's why later on, 5 more countries signed on to become members of this association. And now we are working on East Timor. Because the footprint and the landscape of ASEAN covers the entire Southeast Asia. 50 years on, while we are embarking on the next half century, it is important that we take stock and we look back what we have achieved together. Well, from a collection of backward countries, very, very low economic development, full of conflicts and tensions among themselves and between themselves, caught in the ideological conflicts, the Cold War. The Mekong River was the division line between one ideology on the west side of the Mekong, another ideology. Southeast Asia was an ideological battlefield. But somehow we have been able to integrate all 10 countries together and now looking into the future. And now we are becoming middle-income countries, except Singapore, except Brunei. And Malaysia has been making steady progress to become yet another high-income country. But the 7 of us are in the middle-income category. Some low, some middle, some high middle-income country. But the 620 million population has become more prosperous. On the average, middle class is expanding, and the purchasing power is definitely rising. We have been on this road of economic development and economic cooperation and coordination since 1992, when the idea of AFTA came into being. And we have made steady progress, 6, 7, 8, at some point, 10, 11% in some country, growth rate. Now together we produce $2.5 trillion combined GDP. If ASEAN were to be a country, we are number 7 in the rank of GDP list. And we are trading about $2.5 2.7 trillion US dollars. The caveat, the observation there is that we don't trade with each other enough. Out of that 2.6.7 trillion US dollars trade, we trade with the world, 75% of it. We trade among ourselves, only 25%. And yet, all the economies in Southeast Asia and ASEAN are exporting, are dependent on external markets. 140 billion US dollars FDI coming into ASEAN every year. 70% of that 30 billion US dollars FDI, 70% goes into the service sector. In the old days, it's manufacturing. In the old days, it's production network. In the old days, it's the relocation of factories from Taiwan, from Japan, from Korea, from the US, from Europe into our landscape. So in the beginning, ASEAN attracted manufacturing, real production of goods. Now that we have become middle income, our middle class expects and demands a higher quality of life. They have become more prosperous. They have higher earnings. They have become middle class. Their life, their attitude, and their need have also been changed. They want a better quality of life. They want better health services. They want better education for their children. They want better transport and logistics for their goods and products. They want banking, they want finance, they want shipping, they want transport, they want insurance. Because that's the kind of life that growing middle class, rising purchasing power of the people would expect and would demand. Out of all this, we have attracted more investment into our region. And we have been able to connect and bring in bigger economies, larger countries to connect with us here, the center of gravity, the hub, the fulcrum of the Indo-Pacific larger region.